Hello, hello. Today we're gonna kind of shift gears into a different type of project. So we're gonna do the first part on this decorative wall art raindrop shelf. And so today we're gonna be producing the actual raindrop components. There's the two larger ones and the two smaller ones. And so come with me and let's go walk through the process of how to produce those on the Maverick 4x4 CNC system. Now, even though this is John's design, I still want to share with you guys some of the decisions I made and why. Hopefully that turns into some tips and tricks and things that you can try on your CNC system or things not to try. And first, let's talk a little bit about mounting the part. This mahogany blank is being held down with Legacy's low pro clamps using a T-slot table. And all four 3D carved raindrops are going to be nested out of this single piece. So when it comes to pre-planning your cutouts, make sure that your blank is plenty oversized so that your cutters don't run into the risk of hitting into any of your fixtures or clamps or whatever you're using to hold down your parts. So I had a little extra material above the top of the carving. That way you don't accidentally have any flat surfaces if by chance you made your blank a little bit too small. This entire program is going to use two cutters. A 1/2-inch ball cutter to do all the roughing and a 1/8-inch tapered ball cutter to do all the finish carving. Now, to be honest, the first time we did this, we didn't use a roughing toolpath. We found that tapered ball cutters are really stable and you can push them really hard through the material at full passes. However, we're planning to make this project available, so we decided, if someone is deciding to make these raindrops out of a unique hardwood, perhaps we need to take it easy on that tapered ball cutter just in case. And so we implemented a roughing toolpath. A roughing toolpath simply makes it so the finish cutter has less material to remove, therefore you have less tool deflection and less chances for the cutter to break. The step over for this 1/2-inch ball cutter is 40% so that we can quickly remove the material, and I left a 0.05-inch allowance for the final cutter to remove. Personally, I like to rough with a ball cutter instead of a flat cutter. I find that the soft radius that the ball cutter leaves behind makes it so the material is more stable for that final pass and to have less chances for tear out. You can find this extended core box cutter at magnate.net. Another thing to consider during both of these tool paths is which direction is the cutter rastering. Typically, you're going to get a cleaner cut if the cutter is traveling along the grain of the material. And so you can adjust your raster angle to make sure it matches the grain orientation that is on the machine. Now, this 1/8-inch tapered ball cutter is traveling at 300 inches per minute at 14,000 RPM, and with 3 flutes, that's giving me a chip thickness of about 0.007 inches. To minimize my sanding and increase my surface quality, I pulled down my step over from 10% down to 8%, which comes out to be 0.01 inches. Now, the cutter is cutting all the way down to 0, the bottom of the material. So I needed to add some tabs so that these delicate components didn't go flying around and breaking on me. However, when 3D carving, most likely there's not a simple check the box, add a 3D tab. You have to model the tab into place so that when you calculate your 3D finished toolpath, it will automatically lift up over those embedded 3D tabs. Total, it took 18 minutes to rough out and 3D carve all 4 of these parts. Now, this type of 3D carving has a unique name and style. It can be called a wood applique or a onlay. This is where the carving is being placed, mounted, or glued onto another surface. That means the entire carving has to be to the bottom of the material so we can actually cut out the entire shape like we're doing here. Now, it may not look like the cutter went to Z0, but here if we put some light behind the part, we can easily see it went right to that surface, leaving a small onion skin for us to remove and sand away. The other thing this tapered cutter left behind is a small radius at the very bottom of that ridge. So this radius is a 1/16 of an inch, and so we're gonna have to do a little sanding to clean that up. Technically, if you were to use a smaller tapered ball cutter, it would leave a smaller radius, therefore less sanding. But you might also have longer cutting times because your step over is going to be smaller as well. Now, you can use any method you see fit to remove it. I'm simply going to put this to my bandsaw and carefully cut down that onion skin and remove the tabs. Then all that's left is some delicate sanding. Well, that turned out pretty awesome. Now, if you have any ideas or suggestions on how you would approach that type of technique, maybe differently on a CNC machine, feel free to leave those comments right down below. Now, if you're interested in learning more about a legacy CNC system and what it can do for your business and woodworking opportunities, then you can always stay and check out more videos here on our YouTube channel. We have lots of playlists pertaining to projects and different applications. But I also recommend that you take the time heading on over to our website at legacywoodworking.com. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in that next video.